I'm going to just, have you started already? Oh, aren't you wonderful? I actually don't usually crop these, but anyway. Hi, I'm Cary Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show, and today I have the amazing opportunity to be with Michael Tellinger in person in South Africa, right near Adam's calendar.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, Kerry. Nice to have you here in Stone Circle, the home of Ubuntu, the place where the Ubuntu movement was founded and launched from here.
You are just really one of my heroes, and many people that I know. As I came to South Africa, all these people said to me, "Oh, tell Michael Tellinger hello." And then as I get to South Africa, all these people say, "Tell Donald hello." And we've been talking about what's going on in the political scene and everything in the world, but I'm so excited about what you're doing and teaching right now, coming out of this wonderful Adam's calendar information and Slave Species of the Gods, which I read at the same time as I was writing my book, 21st Century Superhuman. But today what's more important to you is the Ubuntu movement, right?
Yeah, and in many ways I've very much neglected my research into the ancient civilizations for the last 6 years. Not by choice, but because it just became obvious that the Ubuntu movement and providing a solution for the plight of humanity was far more important than digging up old artifacts and so forth, although that's very exciting. And in a strange way, it was the discoveries of the ancient civilizations and their tools and the technology and the origins of money and the abuse of the money scenario and the royal bloodlines and the rise of the banking families. It was that knowledge that takes us back hundreds of thousands of years that led to the rise of the Ubuntu movement and provided me with very simple solutions and answers of what we should do into the future.
That is really exciting. And let's talk for 1 minute. Let's just take a sidestep, because I'm here teaching about plasma technology from the Keshe Foundation, and teaching it in 3 places in Africa, which is very exciting. But what we're talking about is even the stone circles are literally plasma generators, right? And your experience there has taught you that we live in a field that's continually generating power, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, this is, again, I need to stress at this stage that everything is connected.
Yes.
Everything is connected. And this is where our education system falls flat so badly, because they keep compartmentalizing everything and separating bits of information from other bits of information. So, by the time we come out of school, we're like bloody zombies. We can't connect anything. We've got no reason, no ability to connect things, no ability to assimilate ideas or thoughts from how can archaeology be connected to ancient civilization or to advanced technology, and how can astronomy be connected to microbiology and all. We can't connect it, and yet everything is connected.
Yes.
And that the thing that connects everything is the primordial source of creation. And that primordial source of creation is the sound or the resonance of the creator or the creative source, or whatever you want to call it, God. And it's out of that prime resonance, which I refer to as the prime resonance frequency of creation, come the infinite number of harmonic resonant frequencies that hold and bind everything together. And out of that field, you can manifest and generate anything imaginable, because even your thoughts are frequencies that are manifested in the same way that creation is manifested.
Absolutely.
So once people understand that, you can explain everything in creation. It is the simplest thing to explain magnetics, to explain electricity, to explain the cosmos, to explain whether we live on a ball earth or a flat earth. You can have a really interesting argument about that. Boy, that's certainly a cat among the pigeons right now. So
maybe a distraction.
But still, it opens up the field.
Yes.
And your ability to be able to not just explain, but really comprehend how everything fits together. So it was out of that research into the ancient civilizations and the enslavement of humanity as a species that the Ubuntu movement was born. So
and Ubuntu means?
Ubuntu is an African word, mostly Southern African word for I call unity within community. People working together, living in communities of harmony and unity, everyone contributing their skills and talents for the benefit of everybody else in the community.
Nice.
The most common definition for the word Ubuntu is I am who I am because of who we all are.
Beautiful.
And so the Ubuntu movement has gone through an interesting growth over 12 years. I started the idea in 2005 when I was writing Slave Species of God. Because at the time already I realized that money is not part of human evolution.
Yes.
That money was created and introduced to humanity as a malicious tool of enslavement by these ancient beings.
Wow.
And I trace it back to the sudden appearance on earth of the ancient royal bloodlines, the first priest kings that suddenly appear on earth out of nowhere. Suddenly there are all these people living on earth, and then suddenly these priest kings make their appearance.
Amazing.
Like, who are these guys? Where do they come from? And how come they come suddenly king?
Yeah.
And you realize that these first priest kings were what the Sumerian tablets tell us. There was a time in human history when kingdom was lowered to earth from heaven. And the first priest kings were appointed by the gods to be the middlemen between humanity and the gods, and be basically the controllers of the slave species of humanity. And what did these first priest kings do? Well, first of all, they just took control of all the land. Suddenly all the land in the world belonged to the royal bloodlines, and they started building giant temples that were their castles and their places of domain. And they created this thing called money.
Interesting.
And they were, remember, in ancient times, people didn't read. They couldn't read and write.
Right.
And today we don't think
and they
about
didn't
it.
have the internet.
They didn't have the internet,
Right.
and they were very gullible and also open to being manipulated by anyone with a sword or a horse or a bunch of soldiers.
Right.
So they couldn't stand up to these royal bloodlines that suddenly had weapons of fierce mass destruction with which they could smite the people.
Yes.
Now you got to ask yourself, what kind of power did these ancient kings have to force the people to do what they are told?
Yeah. What kind of power do you think it was?
Oh, it was the same kind of technology that I've discovered here in the stone circles of South Africa.
Interesting.
And it's probably Caesar beam or Caesar sound related technology. It always goes back to sound.
Amazing.
So, and these first priest kings then created money, and the first forms of money were in clay tablets, and they wrote all kinds of nonsense on it in their cuneiform, written script that nobody could read or understand. They made up all the new rules and regulations of how to control humanity, and so the first priest kings were the first bankers. Their temples were the first banks, as in the Bible, when
Right.
Jesus chases the money
He chased them out of the temple,
Out of the temple?
because not because they were in the temple, but because they were money changers.
Yes, exactly.
You don't belong.
And money was their tool. Clay tablets was their first form of money and their tool of enslavement. It's just a spectacular system that has continued for thousands of years and continues today.
And really, thanks a lot to your work, which really impacted me. As I travel, I say to people, we are beginning to dig ourselves out of an ancient slavery system.
Yeah.
And I don't meet anyone anywhere who disagrees with me.
No, everybody knows
Everybody is getting it.
that something is wrong.
Yes.
What I find very encouraging, that more and more people are doing more research and
Yes.
finding the truth, or something closer to the truth. We never really will know whether we have the absolute truth.
Right.
I think we're always going to be very far from the truth until something divine happens. I'm not sure what that is.
I think the ditch of what has happened here with disclosure, we're realizing how deep it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
The thing is that we realize that what we have now does not work, and that's the
Right.
most important thing.
Well, you have some great solutions,
Yeah.
and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what your emphasis, because I know you've been traveling in the United States. You were in Brazil recently, right? And
Yeah.
so you're bringing something to people in towns and villages, and you're presenting this Ubuntu concept. Why don't you tell us something about how that will work and how you envision it and how you see that helping to dig us out of an old system that doesn't work?
Okay, few things. First of all, we need to define the word Ubuntu and the difference between the philosophy of Ubuntu and the Ubuntu movement.
Okay.
Right, the Ubuntu is a philosophy. Anyone can choose today, I'm going to now start implementing the philosophy of Ubuntu and sharing and caring, and maybe I'll build a intentional community of sharing and working together. That's great, and we encourage people everywhere to do that. However, that's not necessarily going to solve the world's problems. Okay,
Right.
That's going to solve the problems of a few people.
Right.
And therein lies the big difference. And people often get it wrong. They think, oh, well, you're practicing Ubuntu, we can do what we want and work to. Yes, and we encourage people to do that. However, the Ubuntu movement has a slightly different objective. And that is to create a new platform and a new structure which will become so strong and so powerful that it will become the first domino to start destroying the current socioeconomic system.
I love it.
Okay. Now, there are many communities, many intentional communities.
And maybe we say instead of destroying it, creating a transition to something
When I
new?
say destroying it, it basically we create a new alternative.
Yes.
So
I like
the old system will just fade away.
Exactly.
So it'll destroy itself.
That's how I envision it as
You don't need to do anything to it.
Right.
So I always tell people that the Ubuntu movement provides a solution for a new alternative, a new reality for a new world, without any resistance, any violence, any opposition, any conflict, nothing. We just simply start doing something different, and the old system will just wither and fade away.
I love it. And
Because
so how does this work?
It is a movement of higher consciousness. We
Yes.
can no longer go back to conflict and fighting and all that, not even worrying about what they're doing. Just
Yes.
forget about what they're doing because it does not work.
Absolutely.
And let's start focusing all our energy on the solutions.
Yes.
Now, this is the main difference between the Ubuntu movement and many of the other movements out there, the truth movements that are sharing information and so forth. We at Ubuntu focus 100% on solutions and providing a new platform for a new world.
Nice.
How do we get there? And it's that how we get there that I believe so many people get so excited about when they
Yes.
discover the Ubuntu movement and they read our plan of action. Because it is so simple. It literally is so simple. When people read it, I can see, because I've been doing this for 12 years now,
Right.
and I can see when people's eyes start going, oh my God, this is not
so
just
much
possible,
sense.
but it's real, and we're already doing it, and we're so much closer than we realize.
And you do have a
Right.
website that explains all this, right?
Of
And you have a
course.
great little film that
Yes.
explains it really simply. So
Yes.
there is something people can
Yeah.
refer to. But tell us, how does it
So,
work?
so look, I realized that we tried many things over the last 12 years. We've evolved like anything else. You evolve, you learn, you grow, you learn from your experiences. And if you don't learn from your experiences, then you're really going backward, right?
Yes.
So fortunately, we can say that I've gone through bloody hell. It's been blood, sweat, and tears non-stop, but it's been blood, sweat, and tears of joy mostly,
Yes.
because I constantly know that we're moving in the right direction and we're finding solutions that no one has previously brought and put on the table.
Nice.
And the solutions are so different and so weird and yet so easily understood by people that when they find us, they get very, very, very excited, and they run out there and they want to tell everybody. And that in itself is a problem as well, because often people they get a little sniff of what you're doing and they think they understand it. Then they run out and want to tell everybody, but they don't know enough about what it is that we're doing, and they often say the wrong thing or say, and then they have to pull back and go, okay, well, that's not what I thought. So what I urge people to do when they discover the Ubuntu movement, please go, firstly, read the Ubuntu book. So you really internalize the whole philosophy of Ubuntu. And then
And it's
find
the
out.
story of contributionism, is
Yes,
that right?
that's the
byline.
Ubuntu book, which is,
Right.
I guess, the blueprint
And
of
that's
what we do.
available on Amazon.
It's
as
available
an ebook,
pretty much everywhere, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And so first, internalize the Ubuntu philosophy and some of the simple plans of action for the future. Then go and look at what we've done throughout the last 12 years. We've gone into politics. We've gone into developing community projects. We've gone into all kinds of things, trying to figure out where and how we can implement or
So you've been kind of working through the
Yeah.
details to develop
Yeah.
a good path.
And I must tell you what the biggest teacher for me was the political arena, because we went into politics not because I want to be a politician or anyone in the Ubuntu movement wants to be a politician. To the contrary, we want to dismantle or create a system in which the political system just dismantles itself.
Right.
But I needed to go in there and learn about it, how it works, but also what I call is planting the seed of consciousness into the political beast, so that it starts to grow inside the political beast. And believe me, it's firmly planted in South Africa,
Right.
And in
Because
other
most of
countries
the
as well.
governmental systems are corporate, and again,
Yeah.
that's part of the monetary system,
Exactly.
which is the whole corruption umbrella that we're
Yes.
sitting under right now.
Just in case people don't know, our
Yes.
governments are run by the central banks,
Yes.
not the other way around.
Yes.
Okay, and if you don't know it, please read the Ubuntu book.
Yes.
It'll explain to you how this works.
Very good.
So, what I've learned from this, in the last election, in the national election in 2014 in South Africa, I realized that we can never win this fight.
Right,
It's just,
right,
we're not,
yes.
not even going to make a scratch in the arm because
Yes.
it's totally and utterly controlled.
Yes.
The outcome of all elections are completely and utterly controlled because that's the kind of power they have. And this, sorry, to go off the path a little bit, this is why the Donald Trump victory in the USA is such a mystery.
Yes.
Because that was not on the cards.
Somebody was pulling some strings somewhere.
Somebody
on the
from a high
galactic
dimension,
plane,
yes, was involved on that level because nobody expected Trump to win,
Yes.
especially not me.
And I believe that is going to create it's going to create some big change.
Yes. Some other intervention happened for Trump to
I
have
believe
won.
so.
So I realized that we
Because
can't win
it's
that.
pulling power from the ancient system that has been running things for so long.
I realized that we can't get to Parliament, and even if we get to Parliament and we get 1 or 2 seats in Parliament, what is that going to achieve?
Right.
Nothing. We're going to sit there. You got to abide by all their rules and regulations. You sit there and waste time and energy. I realized that going for Parliament or government is the wrong move. Go for the heel. Go for the small towns and villages because the power lies with the people. It always lies with the people. And if we can go and win the hearts and minds of the people in just one small town or one small village that is run as a municipality or a town with a mayor and a council that make a decision. We like this Ubuntu idea and this Ubuntu philosophy. We like this idea of working together, where everything in our town belongs to all the people in our town, including our water supply, including the electricity supply, and all the businesses and farming and everything and technology and the hospitals belongs to the people of our town.
So how does a town do that and pull itself out of the bigger system, so to speak?
Therein now lies the stage that we're in right now. So in 2016, I ran in the South African elections. We were in 13 municipalities. We thought we'd focus on one small town. It ended up on 13 municipalities, which can normally have about 5 towns. So it was about 65 towns instead of one small town. But nevertheless, we planted many seeds and gained hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of supporters in South Africa.
Right.
And also the observers around the world
Right.
that learned from that activity. And our strategy for the 2016 elections was one small town can change the world.
Right.
It was our training ground.
Nice.
And the chain reaction is very simple. That same one small town can change the world, we have now adapted into a global philosophy
Nice.
that is available on the internet. We got a little video that shows you the step-by-step plan of action, how it works.
Nice.
And now suddenly people can really
So you would say
get
if
it.
somebody actually lived in a small town, they could literally take this plan to their town and start
Yeah.
working on implementing.
Absolutely.
Ubuntu.
And what we're finding as well is for every conscious mayor and conscious town that you'll find, there are many conscious millionaires who come from small towns who want to go back and help their little town.
Nice.
Who would, this will be probably their life
Their
dream
legacy,
come true.
yeah.
That say, I can go back and use all this bloody money that I've made. They don't know what to do with the money. They don't know where to invest it because they realize. And remember, the rich people generally know that the whole money thing is a scam.
Right.
So they don't know what to do with their money and where to invest it. And now suddenly they get a real opportunity to say, oh my God,
A new structure of society.
new system that I
Beautiful.
can put my money into and know that I'm doing the right thing.
Beautiful.
So the very simple step by step, one small town. First of all, you need to get a consensus between the mayor and the town, the people of the town, and the town council, and the sheriff if possible.
Nice.
Say, right, we like this, we're going to do this.
Nice.
Then you go and identify the industrial potential and the people's potential.
Nice.
You got architects and engineers working in McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah. That's just why?
Ridiculous.
Because of capitalism.
Exactly.
Right, now we're
Yeah.
going to change that. We look at the empty warehouses, the farms that are standing abandoned, the manufacturing facilities, the technology,
Right.
everything, and say, wow, we can bring this back to life. We put together a number of projects, which are really businesses.
Right.
You create very razor-sharp business plans for each business or project.
Right.
You put a responsible project manager and then a master craftsman or a master engineer or a baker or a
Right.
shoemaker or a farmer in place
Right.
for that, and then a few people that have some skills and experience in that field already. You fund that as a new business or a project, but it
Nice.
belongs to the whole community.
Nice.
Now, the first project you start is the supply of electricity. The town needs to be able to supply its own electricity. once you have your supply,
Off the grid.
doesn't matter how you provide it.
Okay.
It can be a waterfall,
Okay.
it can be solar, it doesn't matter right
Right.
now, as long as the supply of electricity belongs to the people of that town.
Nice.
So now it belongs to all of us, and everybody gets free electricity as long as the people contribute 3 hours a week. And this is the magic number, 3 hours per week. Now
Wonderful.
when people hear this, they go, what? That's not possible. How can you create abundance 3 hours a week?
Right.
Well, I'll show you how you create abundance. Small town of 10,000 people, everybody contributes 3 hours a week. That's 30,000 hours of labor a week. Free labor a week.
That's a lot.
You need a lot of projects, a lot of businesses to put
Right.
all those people to work.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah.
And it's free labor.
Right.
And in any capitalist driven industry, labor is your most expensive cost today. Right? This is
Right.
why they're trying to automate everything, and because they no longer need people, because they don't want to pay people.
And I think I read in your stuff that even the town can become prosperous. People
Not
can
only
be-
prosperous, when you implement this model and you start working each business like a business for the town, for
Right.
the people, because you contribute your 3 hours a week, everything we do, whether it's food or the hospital healing or
Right.
whatever, is free to the people for your 3 hour contribution. So you have free food, free clothes, free electricity, free hospital, free anything that we make for ourselves. Anything we make in our town belongs to us. If you bake your own bread, you charge yourself for the bread. Of course not.
No.
So we bake our own bread in our town.
Right.
We don't charge ourselves for the bread, it's
Right.
our bread. But because we have so many people, we create and bake and build and grow much more than what we need. We call it the 2/3.
So we sell it to the neighboring.
Yes, we sell it to the neighboring
Yes.
towns, and we export it whatever,
Yeah.
and that brings the money in. And we can choose to sell it cheaper than Walmart or anybody else.
Mhm.
That means that people always buy it from us.
Right.
So
Nice.
by doing this, we've just destroyed the capitalist model.
Right.
Right? And suddenly all our neighboring towns that are suddenly buying all their stuff from us, their businesses are going to go belly up. And they're going to go, well, we
Why don't
want,
we do what
we
they're
want
doing?
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look how much money they're making
Right.
and how prosperous they are. Let's do the same.
Right.
So this is why I say one small town can change the world. Actually, one small town will change the world. The moment you implement this, and we're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
There's a lot more beautiful, easy to implement, deep philosophy and strategy that has gone into this. And this strategy and the philosophy keeps growing better and better and stronger
you know what
as
I-
this thing expands.
You know what I love? They say if you spend 10,000 hours practicing something, you become an expert at it.
Mhm.
And so look at all the hours, you over 12 years or 15 years, you have just been doing this nonstop.
Yeah.
And so you've been able to hone it and develop it and
Yeah.
make it part of how you think and what you've been able to figure out works. So what kind of response are you getting as you travel and speak to people in towns and villages?
Unbelievable response. See, I've stopped the traveling now because I don't have the money to travel and talk to people. Somebody has to fund it.
Right.
So right now I need to find a new source of funding because
Right.
we need to. We've had problems with funding, and
Could a town or village be coached by you?
what I'm saying is that I don't need to travel anywhere.
Right.
People can watch the video online.
Right.
They can then contact me or contact the Ubuntu representatives in the different countries.
Right.
And we're growing so quickly. I mean, at this stage, we got Ubuntu representatives in the United States, Canada, Australia, Germany, Brazil,
Nice.
Ireland, England, and I forget about other countries now. But there are 57 countries that want to represent the Ubuntu movement and set up their own offices and start spreading the philosophy. So I'm just one guy.
Right.
I can't manage
do
all
it
of that
all.
and still
Right.
survive and do all this. So,
Right.
so as soon as we can appoint those management teams in the different countries, this message will spread a lot quicker. But we're about to launch our new website this weekend, actually,
Nice.
the UbuntuPlanets.org
Exciting.
website. So that's going to become
UbuntuPlanet.org.
UbuntuPlanet.org.
Perfect.
And we've set it up so with the help of Jeremy in the USA, which is he's just been absolutely fabulous.
Oh, right.
Jeremy Colt, who put together this incredible website that we can within minutes convert into any language.
Nice.
So we can make
Beautiful.
any country in the world run the same website with the same information in their own language, their own
Beautiful.
people, just manage their own content, their own activities, their own projects.
Beautiful.
And that's all connected to the main global Ubuntu Planet website where everybody can then see what all the countries are doing.
Wonderful.
And that is such an inspiring sort of thing to see
Yeah.
when you see all these countries doing all these amazing
A great
things.
tool, and then
Great
also a great interface to know that we're not alone. We're
Yes.
doing it together. There's other people implementing this. And
Yeah.
how exciting!
So the one small town, I can tell you, we've got Brazil, we've got loads of small towns that Emilia in Brazil is now being called in to be the main advisor to an area that was struck by disaster, and they seem to love the Ubuntu philosophy better than
Nice.
anything else. So she's sort of the main advisor as to how we can solve the problems. The mining company that caused the disaster made, I believe, I speak under correction, but I believe 20 billion Brazilian currency, I forget the money, what it's called in Brazil, available. I think that's probably about $2 or $3 billion US dollar. It's a lot of money
To help
to restart these towns.
Nice.
And they're looking at Emilia and the Ubuntu movement in Brazil to possibly. So, you know, in the USA we have probably 3 or 4 millionaires that have already come forward who want to get involved, who want to get this going.
Nice.
And people are coming out of the woodwork all over the place.
Exciting.
So it doesn't matter where this one small town comes. It doesn't matter where it is in the world. It's going to take that one small town that'll change the world.
Nice. Michael, thank you so much. It's just awesome to be here with you and to just hear personally this philosophy, which I know you are changing the world with. And I want to thank you for everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. And I'm not changing the world. It's the people that find the philosophy. They're the ones that are taking it forward. They're the ones changing the world.
There you go. But it's each of us living our passion. It's each of us stepping up to the plate because we are in a world that really requires change for us to have a viable future. So in order for that to happen, I just encourage each person out there, step into your heart, step up to the plate, follow your passion, live your dreams, listen to stories like this and be inspired.
And realize that it's possible.
Yes.
That it is possible. We're the creators of our own reality. By now, everybody should know that from the quantum teachings
Quantum physics.
and all that stuff, and realizing that we're the resonators, we're the creators of our own reality. So let's create the kind of reality that we all would like to live in.
Yes.
I'm tired of this. I'm sick of it. In my mind, I live in this beautiful utopian world.
Absolutely.
Now I want to live in it physically, not just in my mind.
Yes, we're calling it in. It is here. I say the golden age, the new earth, is in the birth canal. So I think we're very close. And
Kerry, thank you so much for coming to visit me. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. What a wonderful opportunity. See you all soon.